The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dave Nadler, National Weather Service here in Peachtree City. Just going to do a quick mic check before we get started here in a couple minutes. Hopefully everybody can see my screen and hear me loud and clear. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, this is good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave Nadler, National Weather Service here in Peachtree City. Going to do this afternoon's briefing on Hurricane Dorian. Go ahead and we're also recording this, so we'll be able to share this with everybody following the live briefing. All right. Okay, so latest kind of bullet points on Dorian. If you haven't heard by now, Dorian has strengthened to a Category 5 hurricane. This is obviously the highest on the Saffir-Simpson scale, approaching the northern Bahamas at this time. So over the last 24 hours, Dorian has undergone what we call rapid intensification, where the pressures dropped significantly and the wind speeds have gone up quite a bit. And I'll get into those details here in just a second. The track has shifted just slightly west toward the Florida coast from what we were looking at yesterday. And that's not going to really change overall impacts for north and central Georgia at this time. But I think the important thing to note is that, there's still a lot of uncertainty as to where Dorian's going to go as it approaches the Florida coast and then eventually makes that turn to the northwest. So keep that in mind. So the bottom line, that last bullet of just continue to stay up to date on what we're saying, what the Hurricane Center is saying, because it's a very fluid situation and things can certainly change from one day to the next. All right, so the latest satellite imagery, very well-defined eye center, which is more than 20 miles across the eye itself. Again, Dorian has intensified to a Category 5, maximum sustained winds of 180 miles per hour, which is extremely unusual. We don't get a lot of these systems anywhere in the Atlantic or Gulf of Mexico. So to have something this powerful, this close to the U.S. coast is, we obviously have to be prepared. And Dorian is expected to remain a powerful hurricane over the next few days, even as it tracks closer to Florida and starts to make that turn. So that's sort of the latest satellite imagery from Dorian. Going to get into from the main track, or the latest forecast track from the National Hurricane Center, which all of you can go and see this. These are typically updated every 3 to 6 hours from the Hurricane Center. So this was the latest 11 a.m. advisory. Basically, Category 5, major hurricane. Dorian continue to track to the west-northwest over the next 24 to 48 hours. And you notice that it does slow down, and it's already starting to slow its forward motion down just a little bit, which is really what's creating the uncertainty, as we've talked about over the last couple of days. As the hurricane slows down, it's supposed to encounter the Atlantic Ridge near Bermuda, and that's going to turn it ever so slightly to the northwest and then eventually to the north around the upper ridge of high pressure that's to the east of the system. But when that happens, it remains to be seen, and that's why the models we'll show you here in a second are a little bit, there's a lot of uncertainty. I do want to note that keep in mind that the forecast cone that you see, the center of the storm can fall anywhere within that cone, from the far west side, which actually takes it inland towards Florida, and then all the way to the east of where the current center of the track is forecasted right now. So just because the current forecast center, it remains offshore, doesn't mean that it can't veer to the west or even to the east over the next couple of days. So keep that in mind. And in addition to that, the impacts can certainly, impacts from this system, especially as strong and powerful as this hurricane is, can be felt far beyond even the cone of uncertainty. So don't get locked too much into the center line, and certainly don't get locked into just the cone and think, well, we're okay if I'm outside the cone, because even impacts can happen outside of the cone. And I noted that right now, tropical storm force winds extend 140 miles out from the center of the storm. And that light orange area that you see all the way around, that circle around the X, that is where the tropical storm force winds are occurring at this time. Okay, model uncertainty, we've kind of shown you this over the last few days, but what we're noting now is that these are a variety of hurricane models that are used from the National Hurricane Center. Consistency is pretty good over the next like 48 to 72 hours, but then as it gets closer to the Florida coast and starts to slow down even more and take that turn, that's when the models start to diverge. And there's a couple of solutions that are now pointing a little bit closer to the Florida coast and then taking it north towards the Georgia coast. And certainly if that were to happen, impacts to north and central Georgia are going to change quite a bit from what we're seeing right now. So keep that in mind. We're not out of the woods yet, even here in north and central Georgia. Certainly coastal areas are going to see more of the impacts initially, but we need to be prepared here in this area as well as things progress over the next couple of days. Threat levels, we've, again, this is just for north and central Georgia. If we see anything, it looks to be sometime Wednesday into Thursday, mainly for our far southeast counties, basically like Toombs County up towards near Swainsboro, Emmanuel County, those counties, and to the south and east, which is just our far southeast corner. We're looking at a low potential for higher winds. Rainfall shouldn't be too much of an issue as it stands right now, but we'll still have to watch that. And then of course, the tornadoes in the outer rain bands, as the system gets closer to the coast or closer to us, is also going to be something that we have to watch. So this is what we're looking at this point. Of course, things could change over the next 24 hours or so. The tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, this is from the Hurricane Center as well. Basically, this graphic represents the probability or the chance to see tropical storm force winds, which is anywhere from 39 to 74 mile per hour wind gust in the next 5 days. Our far southeastern counties are in a 20 to 30% chance, which is about what it was yesterday. So not a whole lot's changed based on its current track. But again, over the next couple of days, depending on where Dorian goes, these numbers are going to adjust. So we'll continue to share that with everybody via the emails and through our special briefings that we do. But again, time frame when this starts to happen for our southeast counties is probably going to be Wednesday into early Thursday. And again, I mentioned earlier that the tropical storm force winds at this point extend 140 miles out from the center. So you don't have to be that close to the center to get impacted by these tropical storm force winds, especially given how powerful the system is right now. Rainfall, this is sort of a crapshoot at this point because, again, all dependent on the track, but currently this is what we have in our grids. We have, and this is what the Weather Prediction Center is predicting. Basically, our far southeast counties, maybe 1 to 2 inches as we head towards the middle of the week as the system approaches. But I want you to note the gradient as you head just a little bit farther to the east towards Savannah and along the coast. Right in that area, that's anywhere from 4 to 8 inches and even locally higher amounts. So you don't have to go very far outside of our forecast area to get potentially higher amounts. And this is going to change dependent on the track, of course. So just wanted to show you kind of what we have right now. Not any major deal at the moment, but certainly we need to stay vigilant as things change over the next couple of days. All right, that's about it. Basically, just to summarize, key takeaways. Dorian is now intensified to a Category 5 hurricane, which is catastrophic. It's as high as it can get on the scale, Saffir-Simpson scale. It's currently over the northern Bahamas. It's expected to slow down before gradually making that turn to the northwest and eventually north. Where that turn happens and how far or how close to the Florida coast that happens still remains to be seen. And that's going to have critical impacts on what kind of weather we see across north and central Georgia. But at this time, we're not expecting anything major across the area. But again, we've seen over the last few days how things can change. So stay tuned, stay up to date on the latest forecast from the Hurricane Center, the information that's coming out of our office. And we will continue to do these special briefings as needed. So I did want to note that we are going to do another special webinar briefing tomorrow at 12:30. And we'll probably continue these likely into Tuesday and Wednesday, but we'll certainly let you know. The email updates that we send out at 6 p.m., right around 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. will continue as well. So hopefully that's sort of a nice supplement of information in between the briefings that we do each day. All right, that wraps it up, guys. Thank you so much. I'll open it up. If anybody has any questions, would like to post it in the question box here via GoToWebinar, I'll answer those. Otherwise, we'll continue to be here. You can contact us either through the phone number that you see or through chat if you have NWS chat.